Desert Fish Talk. My name is Laura. I'm a wildlife specialist here at the museum. And we asked you guys to come out here to Cheney Pond and learn about fish because fish are a pretty exciting and really important aspect of the ecosystems that they're a part of and ecosystems that they're not necessarily directly a part of as well. So I have a really cool group of fish up here as examples on the boards, and they all belong to a group called the salmonids. And the salmonids are pretty special, and most of them are fairly well known. And they have several characteristics that they share in common, but some of them are quite different from one another. So I have two different genuses. So I have the Oncorhynchus genus over here and the Salvelinus genus over here. Those are all big words, but I'll tell you a little more about them. We'll start with the Oncorhynchus. How many of you folks have ever heard of a rainbow trout or seen one in the wild before? Yeah, definitely a really common fish, really well known. Not just in the areas where it's native, but it's also stocked quite a bit throughout the world on many different continents. And that's because they're fairly adaptable and they're really excellent for sport fishing, which is excellent for the economy. I have three very different looking fish on this board, but they're actually all the exact same species. So I have our rainbow trout, which is native to our coastal region in Oregon, and it's also fairly well stocked throughout the central and eastern Oregon as well. And then we have the Great Basin redband trout, which is a pretty special subspecies of the rainbow trout. So over many years, this redband trout has evolved the ability to survive in the really rugged climate that we have here east of the Cascades. So how many of you folks are local? Anyone? Oh, yay! Very cool. Local to Oregon or Central Oregon. Very cool, very cool. So then you folks will know that here in Central and Eastern Oregon we have pretty cold, snowy winters for the most part, and then in the summertime it gets really hot and arid and everything dries up. So these guys are known for their ability to survive that climate change. That difference in climate. So we're seeing like really small pools of really warm water, like up to 75 degrees, that are just chock full of these redband trout. And so they have adapted over many years to be able to survive summers like that, which is pretty incredible. Something that a rainbow trout probably wouldn't be able to do. Nice and used to those cooler coastal waters. And then steelhead is a really cool version of rainbow trout. They are the anadromous version of rainbow trout. Does anyone know what that means? Anadromous? It's just a really fancy word for saying they're migratory sea run. So some rainbow trout, not all rainbow trout, will migrate out to the ocean. And they'll spend several years there eating lots of different fun marine nutrients and maturing. And then when it's time for them to spawn, they oftentimes return to their natal stream where they were spawned. So it's kind of a really cool aspect. These fish look extremely different, but they're the exact same species. All three of these fish are actually called Oncorhynchus mykiss. But this is just the anadromous version. I wouldn't even necessarily consider it a subspecies. So it's pretty cool. And the fact that some fish, as well as these salmon that I have down here, are anadromous, serves a really important ecosystem function, and we call that nutrient transport. So essentially what they're doing is migrating out to the ocean and, as I mentioned, eating lots of different rich marine nutrients, and then when they migrate back to their freshwater ecosystem, oftentimes they die after spawning, and when their bodies decompose, they're depositing those nutrients into the ecosystem, making it more rich and well-rounded. So it's pretty cool. They've even found like marine nutrients in trees near riparian areas. So it's kind of an interesting aspect, but it's a really important aspect as well. Pardon me.